I want to share with you how God healed me from chronic fatigue and fibromyalgia in 1995. So in 1988, I was in my 30s and raising my daughters, and I became very ill with what I thought was the flu, but it never went away. It just continued on and on. The doctors had no answers for me. They didn't even know what fibromyalgia, chronic fatigue was, so I wasn't even actually diagnosed till about 1995. And I was really struggling. Fatigue, I had muscle aches and pains, headaches, brain fog. I was absolutely exhausted. I had no answers. The doctors had no answers. And so I believed that God was going to heal me. In fact, I had a supernatural faith that God was going to heal me. And I kept walking with the Lord. I kept holding on to His Word. I kept believing His promises. And God took me through a healing process in my soul before He healed my body. And along the way, I had to forgive my first husband, and I had to forgive my parents and other people who had wounded me or hurt me throughout my life. And as God took me through that process of forgiveness, He taught me so much about endurance in love, forgiveness, and healing, and that my soul was just as important as my body. And I kept walking with the Lord. And there were times where I was screaming and crying, and I was angry, and I was exhausted, and I just felt like I couldn't make it another day. But somehow I put one foot in front of the other and kept going, and God was faithful to me. And so fast forward several years after that, I was still sick. This went on for 7 years. We had moved to Eastern Washington, and we had moved on to 40 acres, so we had more animals, more responsibility. I just kept pushing through. I coped. I did the best that I could, but I kept hanging on to Jesus, hanging on to His Word, hanging on to His promises. And one day, we went to a church service. It was at the beginning of the year. It was actually January 3rd, 1995. I will never forget that day. And I went forward for prayer, just for more of Jesus. And a pastor's wife from Texas who was visiting our church prayed for me, and she said she felt the virtue of the Lord flowing out of her. I felt absolutely nothing. And the next day I got up and I thought, something's different. And I felt like energetic, and I felt pretty good. And so I proceeded to clean the whole house. My husband said, "Honey, you better slow down or you are going to be a mess the rest of the week." And I said, "I feel just really amazing. And hey, my eyes don't hurt when I look out at the snow and the sunshine, and my muscles don't feel yucky anymore, and I have energy." And so God healed me that night, and I've been healed ever since. Not had any more issues with chronic fatigue or fibromyalgia. And I just want to praise Jesus for healing my heart and my soul and my body too. It's such an amazing testimony of His love and His faithfulness to us.